We're living in an era where everything seems within reach: modern technology, free knowledge, global connectivity, and countless tools to help you grow. And yet, strangely, so many people, despite being smart, ambitious, and hardworking, still feel stuck. Stuck in unfulfilling jobs, in unsatisfying relationships, in repetitive lives where every morning feels like a copy of the one before. Why? The answer doesn't lie in the outside world. It lies in a truth that most people have never truly dared to face. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. That's a law, not some motivational philosophy, and certainly not blind positive thinking. It's a foundational principle, quiet but undeniable, that governs every outcome in your life. You might want success, but unless you become someone with the mindset, discipline, and habits of success, it won't come. Or if it does, it won't stay for long. You might crave a genuine relationship, but unless you live with honesty, empathy, and commitment, you'll only attract shallow, fleeting connections. You might dream of financial freedom, but if you don't learn how to create value, manage money, and make wise decisions, you're just hoping in a barren land. Everything you're living today is the product of the person you've been becoming all this time. Earl Nightingale once said, "We don't become what we want. We become what we believe." I'd add to that, we don't get what we dream of. We only receive in proportion to who we are being. You're not lacking opportunities. You're just lacking a better version of yourself. The world owes you nothing, but it will always respond honestly and precisely to what you bring to it. If you feel your life's results aren't what you deserve, start by asking a different question. Not what do I want, but who am I right now? Am I truly living as someone worthy of the things I wish for? If success is a signal, am I broadcasting on the right frequency to attract it? And from the moment you stop blaming circumstances and start looking in the mirror, you'll begin a new journey, not one of chasing what you want, but one of becoming the person who can't help but have it. That's the journey we'll take together in the upcoming sections. Not through pretty words, but through practical principles. Not to dream, but to wake up. Because you don't need more hope. You need real internal transformation. And when you change, everything changes. There is an unchanging law in the universe that very few people truly understand. Not because it's complicated, but because it's so simple that it's often overlooked. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This isn't some short-term motivational slogan. It's a truth, a principle that quietly operates in every area of life, from finances and health to relationships and inner peace. And if you truly understand this, not just intellectually, but through personal experience, you'll start to see your life change. Not because you worked magic, but because you became what you used to merely wish for. We live in a world where people are constantly wanting more money, true love, dream jobs, recognition, a healthier body, peace and meaning. Yet sadly, most never achieve these things, not because they're undeserving, but because they don't understand how life truly works. You can't sit in the dark and expect the sun to rise exactly where you want it. Life doesn't respond to your wishes. It reflects who you are every day, in every choice and every thought. Take a hard look at yourself. You want financial abundance, but have you truly become someone who delivers high value to the marketplace? You long for deep love, but are you living with kindness, honesty, and integrity? You want health, but are you eating, moving, and resting in ways that align with that desire? You can't attract something better than who you are, because the universe doesn't reward dreams, it compensates alignment. A man can talk all day about wanting to be a millionaire, but if he spends his time watching TV, scrolling social media, and clinging to unproductive habits, he'll reap exactly what he's sowing: stagnation and lack of value. You don't need to believe in mysticism to see this clearly. Just look around. People with happy relationships often possess empathy, patience, and honesty. People successful in their careers have spent years building skills, mindset, and discipline. People in good health actively care for their bodies through action, not hope. We don't reap what we want, we reap what we sow. Modern thinking tends to glorify desire. People say if you want it badly enough, you'll get it. But that's not true unless you also become someone worthy of it. The world doesn't reward longing. It rewards preparation value and inner evolution. If you desire a great result, you must become a person who matches that result. The good news is you can become what you want to attract. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need to be great from the start. You just need to choose to become day by day, step by step. As you change from within, the outer world starts to respond differently. Opportunities that never came begin to appear. The right people begin to show up, not because they just started existing, but because you've tuned into their frequency. Imagine yourself as a magnet. Your pulling power doesn't depend on what you want to attract. It depends on what you're made of. If you're negative, envious, lazy, you'll draw things on that frequency. But if you're clear in your goals, kind, hardworking, and always learning, you'll begin to draw in things that align with that identity. You are the starting point of everything in your life. And that truth, even if it feels uncomfortable, is actually a gift. Because if you are the cause, then you're also the solution. Don't confuse action with desire. You might want to change, but if you don't act from your new identity, everything will stay the same. You can't draw a new house with the same old pen and mindset. You need new tools and new thinking. And change begins with awareness. Awareness that you are the only one responsible for what you attract into your life. I'm not saying you'll see results overnight, but understand this: everything you're living today is the result of who you've been all along. And if you don't like that, don't resent your life. Simply begin becoming a different version of yourself. The power isn't in what you want. It's in who you choose to become today. And when you start living as that upgraded version of yourself, the world will begin to reflect that change back to you. Instead of asking, how can I have more? Ask, who do I need to become to deserve that? That's the only question that matters. And the answer will slowly reveal itself through your actions, habits, decisions, and personal standards every single day. In the end, what you want is not what you should chase. What you should focus on is becoming the person that what you want is already looking for. Because life doesn't respond to what you hope for. It only responds to who you've chosen to become. There's a very simple truth, so simple that most of us overlook it every day. Life is a mirror. It doesn't reflect what you hope for. It only reflects who you are. When you stand in front of your bathroom mirror in the morning, you don't demand it to show a more beautiful, younger, or more successful face. You know it will simply reflect what's there, nothing more, nothing less. Every wrinkle, scar, tired eye, or satisfied smile is an honest image of you in that moment. And life works exactly the same way. It's an unflinching mirror. It shows you the impact of your thoughts, habits, and repeated choices over time. If you look at your life and see chaos, it doesn't mean the world is against you. It's simply saying this is your result. You're seeing a magnified version of your mind, your attitude, your standards, and your internal values. Just like planting an orange seed won't yield an apple tree, every outcome you're living, career, finances, health, relationships, is an honest reflection of who you become. The problem is modern people don't like hearing this. We're raised to believe that external circumstances are to blame. I'm not successful because the economy is tough. I'm not happy because people aren't kind. I'm not healthy because of genetics. But the truth is, we're often trying to smash the mirror instead of adjusting our own face. Wise people don't blame the mirror. They look into it and ask, what in me is creating this reflection? That's where real power begins. When you realize that the outer world is just a reflection of your inner world, you're no longer a victim of life. You begin to control yourself, and as a result, the reflection changes. You want more income. Ask yourself, what value are you bringing to the market? You want deeper relationships. Ask, are you truly loving, listening, and understanding others? You want peace. Then how disciplined are you with your thinking? Do you control your emotions or do they control you? You see, everything begins with you. Life's mirror doesn't lie. It's not swayed by your emotions. It simply reflects the results of what you've been putting out. Here's the paradox. The more you complain, the more stuck you become. Why? Because the negative energy you emit is the exact signal you're sending to life, and the universe only knows how to respond in kind. But when you start shifting the question from why don't I have it to who must I become to deserve it, your entire life begins to shift. You don't have to fix the whole world. You just have to fix yourself. And the world, like a magical mirror, will adjust on its own. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and commanding smile at me. Then you wait. 5 minutes, 1 hour, all day. Nothing changes until you smile first. Then instantly, the mirror reflects that smile. Life is no different. You want love? Be loving first. You want recognition? Live in a way that deserves it. You want success? Plant value. Plant discipline. Plant right thinking. And if you're looking into the mirror of your life today and don't like what you see, that's good news, because it means you're ready to change something. Don't hate the mirror. Be grateful for it. Only when you clearly see your current reality can you consciously begin rebuilding your future. Transformation doesn't need a dramatic breakthrough. It starts with small shifts. Waking up 30 minutes earlier. Reading 10 pages a day. Choosing silence over a negative reaction. Giving a hug instead of a harsh word. Saving a little instead of spending impulsively. All those little things, like gradually changing the expression on your face, will create a different image in the mirror of life. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about most of the time," and I'd add, then we attract exactly what reflects who we are living as every single day. You don't need to pretend to be positive, just live with intention. You don't need to chase perfection, just be honest about progress. Because life doesn't respond to fakeness, it responds to your real frequency. And you can adjust that frequency starting today. Remember, the mirror doesn't lie, but it never rejects you either. You change, it changes. You rise, it rises with you. You live differently, your results begin to shift too. So don't blame the world. Adjust the person you're becoming. And soon the reflection you see in the mirror won't be something you need to fix, but something you're proud of. There's a rule that successful people from all walks of life understand, whether they call it by name or not. You don't get what you want. You get what you accept. Life doesn't reward you based on your hopes. It rewards you based on the standards you've silently set and allowed to continue. And the strange part is most people never realize that their standards aren't shaped by their circumstances, but by unconscious choices repeated daily. Look around you. Your current job, your income level, your physical and mental health, your relationships, they all reflect the standards you're tolerating. No more, no less. You see, your standard of living isn't something you write on a vision board. It's how you live each day, even when no one is watching. It's the bar you accept when faced with choices. Do I keep pushing or hit snooze for 5 more minutes? Do I eat with discipline or eat whatever's easy? Do I speak the truth or stay quiet for comfort? That's where it all begins. You don't have to speak your standards. You're already living them. And life, like a faithful recorder, just reflects it back to you. If you accept mediocre relationships, you'll keep having them. If you tolerate putting off your goals, you'll live in tomorrow forever. If you're okay with working without growth, don't expect someone to hand you a bigger opportunity. Earl Nightingale once said, "We're all programming ourselves either by design or by default." And your standards are the strongest program in your operating system. They govern every decision you make. A person with high standards sees a temporary job as a stepping stone, not a destination. A person with low standards sees that same job as good enough and stays for 10, 20 years. Same situation, different standards, different life. So ask yourself, what are you allowing to exist in your life that you know is beneath the future you want? Because what you tolerate, what you settle for, quietly becomes your new normal. Someone might start with a goal of working out 5 times a week, miss one day, then two, then three, and before long their body reflects the new standard, I'll work out if it's convenient. And here's the hard truth. When your standards drop, your results drop too. But it doesn't happen loudly. It happens quietly, bit by bit, until one day you realize you're living a life far below your true potential. The good news is you can raise your standards at any time. No one's holding you back except you. No one's making you accept less unless you silently agree to it. No one is limiting you unless you're the one drawing the line. Raising your standards doesn't mean perfection. It's not about being harsh with yourself every second of the day. Raising your standards simply means saying, I don't live like that anymore. I deserve better, and I will act accordingly. It's a quiet but powerful declaration. I won't make excuses for myself anymore. I won't let others diminish my value. I won't waste time on things that don't serve my purpose. I won't let fear decide my actions. From that moment on, life starts to shift. Not because the world changes, but because you do. And when you raise your standards, you elevate your presence. You're telling the world, I'm ready to live at a higher level. And then just like tuning into the right frequency, you start attracting people, opportunities, and results that match it. Think about it. Raise your health standards, you start eating better, sleeping well, working out consistently, not perfectly, just consistently. And in a few weeks, your body begins to change. Not because you tried harder, but because you no longer accept less. Raise your financial standards, you start learning new skills, communicating better, serving more effectively. You're no longer just working to survive, you're working to grow. And soon your income starts to reflect the new standard. Every lasting breakthrough starts with a quiet internal decision, I don't live at that level anymore. Life doesn't give you what you hope for, pray for, or even hustle for. It gives you what you demand through your actions, your standard, your daily way of living. Standards are the tracks your life train runs on. If the tracks are crooked, your journey derails. If they're straight, solid, and pointed toward a clear destination, you move in the right direction. And you are the one who builds those tracks, no one else. So today, sit down and ask yourself, what am I tolerating that I know is below my standards? What have I stopped expecting of myself? What boundaries will I redraw to restore my dignity and quality of life? Those boundaries don't have to be shouted, just live differently. And when you live differently, life responds differently. Remember, life doesn't give gifts, it responds to standards. And the most powerful truth of all, you can raise your standards anytime. In a world increasingly dominated by noise, where talent, credentials, networks, and reputation often take the spotlight, there is something quiet but more enduring than all of it: character. Success may come from intelligence, agility, or well-timed strategy. But lasting success, sustainable success, only comes to those who build it on the foundation of personal character. Talent may get you into the room, but character decides whether you're invited to stay. Earl Nightingale once said, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. But without a foundation of ethics, discipline, and integrity, even the worthiest ideal won't last. Because character isn't what you say. It's how you act when no one is watching. It's the choices you make when there's no immediate reward. It's keeping your promise even after the feeling that made you promise is gone. You don't need a stage to show your character. True character radiates like a scent. People feel it even when you say nothing. They feel it in how you treat those who offer you nothing, in how you respond to those who challenge you, in how you behave when you're the one holding the power. All of that reveals more clearly than any resume who you really are. And from that who you are, life decides what to give you. In business, people may be drawn to confident sales skills or a polished image. But what makes customers, return partners, commit long-term, and teams trust you is character. Trust isn't built on words. It's built on the consistent repetition of valuable actions. You can't buy character. You can't hire someone to build it for you. You can't attach it to a resume. Character is the accumulated result of tiny moral choices made quietly day by day. People with strong character don't need to advertise their values. they live them. And their presence becomes a quiet, powerful invitation for others to rise to integrity too. Let me be direct. You can earn attention through style, but you only earn respect through substance. And that substance, your character, is the one currency that never devalues. When the market crashes, when trends shift, when technology outdates your skills, character remains an irreplaceable asset. Why? Because in a world where almost everything can be faked, character is the one thing that can't be faked for long. You can act through a meeting, but you can't act through a lifetime. You can impress during an interview, but you can't fool people for an entire journey. The truth always shows through your repeated actions. And if you're empty inside, sooner or later life will expose it. That's why truly successful people aren't just smart, they're trustworthy. And trustworthiness doesn't mean perfection. It means living by principle and holding to those principles even when it costs you something. People can forgive flaws, but they can't trust someone who lacks honesty. They might overlook a strategic mistake, but they won't overlook a betrayal of trust. So ask yourself again, are you living with the kind of character you wish others had? Do you keep your word even when no one reminds you? Do you have the courage to say no even when it's unpopular? If not, this isn't a judgment. It's a mirror, a moment to reflect and start rebuilding from the inside out. No one is born with unshakable character. It's not inherited, it's trained. Day by day, action by action. You build it when you turn down an easy lie, when you take responsibility instead of shifting blame, when you help someone without needing credit. Each small choice is like a brick laying the foundation of who you are. And here's the amazing part. When you have strong character, you don't need to chase success. Success will naturally be drawn to you. Why? Because the world craves stability, integrity, and consistency. People may be dazzled by the spotlight, but in the end, they're drawn to the warm, honest glow of someone living their values. And that person you can absolutely become. So start today, not with declarations, but with actions. Keep your word. Choose what's right, not what's easy. Be consistent even when no one is watching. Because character is the only currency that buys respect, sustainability, and peace. And when you have it, you don't have to chase success. Success will find you. There's something strange about human nature that few realize until it's too late. We're not only the product of what we do, we're the product of the energy we emit and the environment we live in. You can't bring fire to a cold place if you're frozen inside. You can't inspire others if your heart is filled with doubt. You can't attract greatness if you're always living in small energy. After decades of working with leaders, entrepreneurs, and changemakers, I've noticed one undeniable pattern. Energy doesn't lie. Someone can speak well, dress well, and present like a master, but if their energy is tired, resentful, doubtful, or negative, people feel it. And on the flip side, some people say very little yet. Their presence brings calm strength and sparks something greater in others. That's not a coincidence. That's the effect of personal energy. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about most of the time." I'd add, and we radiate that to everyone around us. Energy is the first language the world reads from you, even before you speak a word. When you walk into a room, people aren't first impressed by your resume or achievements. They feel your energy. They feel whether you're living with purpose or drifting aimlessly. They feel whether you're grateful for life or bitter toward it. They feel whether you're proactive or just existing. And you can't fake that. Energy is an unspoken truth. It goes ahead of you, lingers after you, and determines what you attract into your life. You may ask, so how do I change my energy? The answer isn't more caffeine or a pumped-up playlist. It lies deeper in your sense of purpose and your discipline over your mind. When you live with a clear purpose, not to prove something, but to serve, your energy naturally elevates. When you manage your mind, refusing to be dragged down by negative news, empty conversations, or aimless scrolling, your energy becomes clearer and stronger. And here's what you must remember: energy is contagious. If you stay around negative people long enough, you'll become negative without even realizing it. If you constantly hear complaints, blame, and excuses, you'll start thinking that way too. If you surround yourself with people who settle for less mock ambition and view discipline as extreme, you'll slowly lose your own sharpness. Your environment doesn't just reflect you, it shapes you. That means you must actively choose the environment, workspaces, and relationships you live in. They say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I believe you are the sum of the energy you allow to influence your mind. If you want to raise your standards, start by raising the energy around you. Spend time with people who have clear goals. You'll naturally want to live with more direction. Work with people who take bold action. You'll become more decisive. Surround yourself with positive minds. Your creativity and recovery will improve. On the flip side, if you don't protect your energy, you'll be pulled down to the lowest frequency of your environment. Look around. Chronic procrastinators often find each other. Unmotivated people gather to justify their own lack of progress. Complainers form big groups because complaining is easier than taking action. But if you're brave enough to step out of those cycles, you'll enter a new space where high energy is normal. And then you won't have to push yourself every day to feel motivated. You'll be fueled naturally by the energy of those you let into your world. Be careful, your energy is a signal, and the world responds to that frequency. If your energy is tired, scattered, or half-hearted, you'll attract vague opportunities, half-invested people, and mediocre results. If you live with energy that's focused, responsible, and passionate, you'll begin to attract bigger, bolder things. Not because you're lucky, but because you've tuned your frequency. So, from today forward, do something simple yet powerful. Protect your energy as if your future depends on it, because it does. Start your morning with mindfulness, not your phone. Feed your mind with positive thoughts instead of shallow distractions. Talk less, act more. Spend time with people who make you want to be better. And most importantly, radiate the energy you wish to receive. Because in every encounter, in every room you enter, you are one of two things, either someone who lifts the energy or someone who drains it. There is no neutral, there is no invisible, and what you bring is exactly what you'll get back. One of the simplest yet most powerful truths you'll ever hear in life, also the one most people avoid facing, is this. Life doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you earn. This isn't a cold statement. It's a wake-up call. Because only when you truly grasp this can you fully reclaim ownership of your life. You might be a good person. You might work hard. You might have noble intentions, a kind heart, and a deep desire to live a meaningful life. But if you don't transform all of that into concrete value, real results, and consistent action, you'll never receive what you hope for. The world doesn't pay for kindness. It pays for value. The market doesn't reward hope. It rewards results. And success doesn't come to those who sit still and dream. It comes to those who build, train, serve, and relentlessly pursue excellence. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about all day long." But he also emphasized thinking alone isn't enough. You must act on what you think, believe, and want to become. Let's get real. Some people complain that they deserve higher income, yet they're not learning new skills, overcoming procrastination, or serving their clients better every day. Others say they deserve a loving relationship, but they lack patience, avoid deep communication, and don't take the time to learn how to love effectively. Some want success but quit when tired, rest when things get tough, and retreat to their comfort zone when results don't come fast enough. You're not rewarded for wanting. You're rewarded for becoming someone who can deliver. That's the gap between "I think I deserve it" and "I've actually earned it." You might want a fit body, but if you don't go to the gym, eat properly, sleep well, and stay consistent for months, you won't have it. You might want financial freedom, but if you don't manage your money, invest in knowledge, and create value for others, you'll stay stuck. You might think of yourself as kind and hardworking, but if results don't follow, the world has no reason to believe in you until you prove it through your actions. Here's the good news: anyone can start earning what they want starting today. No luck needed, no permission required. You don't have to wait for someone to give you a chance. You just have to start asking the right questions. If I want X, who do I need to become to truly deserve it? What skills must I learn? What habits must I break? What discipline must I develop? Have I truly done enough to earn what I say I want? These aren't the questions of a victim. They're the questions of someone who owns their life. And when you shift from the mindset of deserving to earning, your entire energy changes. You stop blaming. You stop waiting. You stop expecting life to be fair. Instead, you start creating fairness for yourself. You no longer think, I hope someone sees my potential. You start thinking, I will work until my potential becomes undeniable value. You no longer say, I deserve a chance. You start living as, I will become someone no one can ignore. And from that place, you stop begging for opportunities, you get invited. Remember, you can't cheat this rule. No matter who you are, where you live, or what your background is, life operates by one principle. You don't receive what you believe you deserve. You receive what you're ready for through action, value, and strength. That's why some people rise to the top despite humble beginnings, no help, and no shortcuts. Because they didn't waste time demanding fairness. They spent time becoming irreplaceable. And when that happens, success, healthy relationships, strong finances, they come not because someone says you're worthy, but because you've made yourself undeniably worthy. So ask yourself honestly, what do I say I want? What have I actually done to earn it? How wide is the gap between what I expect and how I act? That gap is your growth zone. And if you commit to closing that gap daily with focused, intentional action, you won't need anyone's approval. Results will speak for you. Because when you stop waiting to be rewarded and start becoming someone who can't be denied, you've already won. Final note: when you become, life can't ignore you. By now, you've probably felt something no theory can fully explain and no motivational speech can force. It can only awaken from within. Life doesn't belong to those who merely hope. Life belongs to those who become. We don't receive outcomes simply because we desire them deeply. We receive them when we ourselves become aligned with what we seek. And this truth, though simple, is the forgotten key for far too many people. You can't attract success with hope alone, but you can absolutely attract it through the version of yourself you commit to becoming every single day. True lasting change doesn't come from external shifts. It doesn't come from a new job, a new partner, or a new environment if internally you're still the same person. Because, as you've learned, life is a mirror. It can't reflect anything but the version of yourself you are currently living. If you want a different reflection, don't break the mirror. Change yourself. Earl Nightingale once said, "We become what we think about most." But I believe this too. We also attract who we become, and never above that. Think about it. If you want to earn more income, start living like someone who creates more value. If you want true love, live like someone who is trustworthy, loving, and emotionally secure. If you want freedom, live with discipline, because no one earns freedom without first becoming a prisoner to persistence. We don't live by what we wish for. We live by the standards we accept. Each morning you wake up is a reminder. Today I get to choose stay as the old version of myself or rise into the person I once thought I couldn't become. You don't need anyone's permission to change your life. You don't need to wait for Monday, the new year, or when things calm down. All you need is a decision: I'm done living like this. From that decision, your actions begin to shift. From those actions, habits take form. From those habits, your identity evolves. And from that identity, life starts responding in a whole new way. Not instantly, not effortlessly, but always certainly. Because the law never fails, you don't get what you want. You get what you've earned. You don't attract what you dream. You attract what you are. If you feel stuck, don't ask why the results haven't come. Ask, which version of myself am I still repeating? What within me is keeping me stuck at this level? Who must I become so that what I want will have no choice but to come find me? Life never turns away someone who is truly ready. Not because of what they say, not because of their dreams, but because of their behavior, because of their daily standards, because of the life they live, not the goals they list. Believe this, you don't need to chase success. You only need to become the kind of person success cannot ignore. If these words have stirred something in you, drop a comment below. Share the version of yourself you're working to become, because who knows, your story might be the spark someone else needs. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next piece of insight. Every week, I'll share practical, powerful principles to help you not just think right, but become right. Remember, you can't change your life unless you change the person you are becoming. And if you're still here reading these very words, I believe you're ready for the transformation.